So I work on a lot of slides and one-pagers and decks and stuff of that nature for my sales enablement customers. A lot of that work eventually revolves around the following workflow. I am ingesting a bit of information. I am creating an idea or a brief or an outline. And then I want to make sure that I use the existing templates as much as I can in order to not redo everything from scratch, in order to be on brand. A lot of the existing tools for slides and one-pagers are very limiting. You cannot edit layers. The text doesn't come out exactly like I wanted to from the original prompt. And I think more than everything else, they're not editable. Like, it's hard to actually edit collateral once you've made them. You have to give someone access to your account, make sure they're on the tool, stuff like that. They're not like easily exportable. The absolute GOAT of a situation would be a way to generate PowerPoints on brand from Cloud Code. Like, that would be the best scenario for me. There are no great skills and ways to do that. You cannot do it in Microsoft Copilot at the moment to the level of quality that I want. So I came to a point where I decided to essentially check out all the existing SaaS tools for pitch decks, presentations, one-pagers, and whatnot in order to make it happen. I came across Moda, which is like the new up-and-comer tool that everyone's talking about regarding these things. I played around with it. I like it, which is the first thing I'm going to say. And then we're going to talk a little bit about the problematic things. But overall, I think it's a very decent tool, and you should definitely try it out if you haven't. My full review coming up. So before we dive into Moda, let's talk a little bit about what Moda kind of promises. What they're saying is we're going to give you a canvas and a chat box, and you can prompt the chat box to get presentations that are on brand. You can personalize them. You can edit every single layer in them. It's actually a very compelling pitch as somebody who did a lot of this manual work for years and years and years now. Before we do that, I want to talk about why this is a problem, and then we're going to actually look at the tool. So first things first, this is a video service that I have. It's called Syntax Cinema. It's essentially a video as a service type thing. In addition, I have this deck, which are the two independent things. This is a service that has its own purple hue-ish type brand. This is just a very simple deck that's undesigned. Well, you can see at the bottom, it's a little bit designed, and there's nuances of the Syntax Cinema brand, but not really, which I give at it's a messaging talk that I give to early stage companies. Now, what I want to do is I want to tell, in this case, Google Slides to go from this variation of the design to this variation of the design. So when you do it and you click on the Nano Banana button right here, help me visualize, it creates this. A few different problems with this. First of all, this is ugly as hell. Just as a side note, this is ugly as hell. Now I understand it tried to adapt the brand colors here, but any comparison between this and that is they're not the same thing. There wasn't the same thought process that appeared there over here. Also, it's very rastery and blurry, and the reason for that is because when you generate an image using Nano Banana, you essentially generate a raster image. You don't generate a vector, which ends up roughly looking like this. I can tell you that by using using Nano Banana 3 or 3.1, I don't remember, but one of the two, when you give them, I have this skill that I create to create my YouTube thumbnails. You can see that they create great high quality images. I don't know why they didn't implement the same thing in Google Slides, but that is in practice the case. Now let's go into Canva, which is what most people tell me that they use. And I wanted to use it based on a specific, use the branding from a specific website. You can't actually do that. I can't actually submit it and tell it, hey, make a deck out based on this brand. Also, I cannot import an existing Google slide to it and tell it, hey, I want you to match the design here. So my immediate thing is my trusty Manus. What Manus does is it essentially creates an HTML website of the deck, and then allows you to put it to kind of work on it inside of Manus. Now, this is not terrible. It is on brand. There's a lot of things that it did that got right, not 100%, but definitely good. It's something that I can go with. The problem with that is what happens when you start exporting it into PPTX. When you export it into PPTX and you make edits into PPTX and you want to bring them back in, you can't. And when you export it directly from here, because this is at the end of the day an HTML page, all of these slides are HTML pages, you essentially lose the ability to edit the layers inside of the platform. So if I want to edit something specific in here, I can. However, as soon as I want to implement a large set of changes and kind of make sure that it keeps on brand, and I can update it into PowerPoint. And if somebody gives me a piece of feedback, I want them to implement into the feedback loop. It's easy. Like once you start actually working on those workflows, it's where it's becomes problematic. Now, I use Manus extensively and export the PDF and use that for sales collateral for when I send to customer sales representatives. It works to a degree. However, there's another issue, which is you run out of credits very fast when you do that work in Manus. So a lot of small things that don't make me super happy about this. I also wanted to look at GenSpark, which is another tool that I use kind of, that I heard about. I don't often use it. I will tell you that one of the things, and I'm in Amsterdam, so for some reason they decided to give my tool in Dutch, which is fine. Anyways, while it's working, because it has been working actually for quite a while, I'm pretty sure it was like an hour ago that I turned this on and it's still not working. That's an indication for you guys. But hey, let's move on. Let's talk about Moda. So what I did was I actually gave Moda the exact same deck and I told it to update it. And I just gave it the deck. So what it did, I'm going to let it load for a moment. What it did, and you can see the way it loads, I think it's a very good indication of how the tool works. You can see the things loading layer by layer. Now, this is 100% on point. Like this is on point. This looks exactly like I wanted to look from the Syntax Cinema website. They actually ended up inside of the deck. You can see they made like this very well aligned 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I have a bonus thing in one of the decks. And then it actually made a bonus icon in comparison to what I wouldn't think about it. It came up with it alone. Then they made this, which is not great. And you can see some alignment issues here at the bottom. But I think that what I'm honestly going to say is I'm going to make an assumption that what happened there was, if I look at how this works like in practice, there's a problem somewhere here. Like what they try to do is to take these logos and put them on a page. I'm going to assume that when they try to do that and they try to download the images out of the slides, that's where the problem is, because I'm not sure they can export the actual logos out of slides using the API, which is what they use. So I think it's more of a technical problem. And if I told it, hey, please bring the logos from someplace else, I'm pretty sure it would work. And that's where it got messed up. This is beautiful. This is beautiful. This is beautiful. Like they really made it happen. Now, there are some things that are not great. It didn't capture all the slides. There are 10 slides here and it only caught 6. However, very easily prompted. It did miss the arrows thing here. Like I would probably add them here or something like that. I don't know. Or maybe have a little bit of space here. I know I don't love it. But everything here is editable. And when you move it into slideshow mode and you basically want to, oh shit, sorry. When I want to export it into something that I can use, I can export it into Google Slides and make sure that there's a lot of alignment between the two designs. Do that, and while it's exporting, I'm going to pause for it and come back once it's exported. So the most beautiful thing I think about this whole thing is when you export it back into Google Slides, it actually looks good and you can actually edit it in the same rough way that you would originally. And I think what they're doing, yeah, sure, there are some problems. As I mentioned, images are a little bit problematic, but you can see that the differentiation between the two are relatively minor. Some font problems, some issues of that sort, but every single other tool that I use does not even get to this level. I'm sure they'll improve it over time. Did GenSpark even finish? Oh my God, so slow. But you get the point. I want to talk about one extra thing before I drop off this video, which is what a sales pager or one pager looks like for them. So when I gave it the chat, and I just want to make sure that you look at the exact the history of how it looked like. What I told it was I want to create a one pager based on Syntax Cinema to send to people. It came up with completely different concepts for me. I did not do anything for you. And one of the nice things that it did, which is not super trivial and many people miss, is it did this thinking of the content, basically the content placement on the one pager. Aside from the fact that it's like properly aligned, I don't know if I have grids here, but if I would put a grid, I'm pretty sure it's perfectly aligned, which to begin with is not something solved by existing tools right now. This is actually a nice layout. Like I can understand what I'm looking at. I can understand it did all the thinking. It missed the logo. Fine, not too bad. But it did give two very different things that I feel like would not happen otherwise. Also, again, every single thing is editable. This is ridiculous, ridiculous. And let's say that I want to make a change. I want to say, for example, great, I want to add a fifth step, which will mess up the alignment here. Fifth step, which is, I don't know, cutting it into reels or repurposing them. So this is actually not a simple task to do, because you need to both create the content and also realign the content in the right way. So you're going to see their agents kind of running in a moment, like they're going to think about it and then they're going to understand exactly what the situation is, and then they're going to update it. I'm going to stop until they start working so I can then show you what's what. So you can see that it actually did the work here very easily by essentially adding a new box and realigning the whole things. Now, this might sound like a small thing, but it actually is not. This is exactly what I want a design tool to do. To think about the content design on the page, and then to come up with the right way to do it, and then to add it in a high fidelity way, making sure that it actually looks as I want it to. And then you can also edit the whole thing. This is a very, very, very cool tool. I think one of the only qualms that I have with it is that it's not, to me, super ready for agentic use. I feel like it's great for working on the tool, like I work with Manus, but even Manus, I now trigger workflow, like chats from the API. Like you can trigger a chat from Manus and actually also get the artifact back directly from Manus, because that's right now the best provider for the specific Word product that you want. But you can trigger it from Cloud Code, ask it to make a slide, bring it back, bring the PDF back to you, and then use it wherever you want. So generally speaking, awesome tool, super like it. It really does live up to the hype. I'm not sure if it will live up to the hype when working on like actual long-term PowerPoints. I will say that this is the closest I've seen something get to this level of coolness. So thank you for the Moto people for building it up. So one final thing before I let you all go. Sales collateral and sales enablement is interesting work because it helps, oftentimes longer sales processes to succeed. In practice, and that's something that's very important that I think people understand, the amount of work that goes into sales enablement is going to decrease over time, in my opinion, not increase. Meaning less humans are going to make significant sales purchases as they do now. Now, most of sales enablement goes into selling relatively expensive things, relatively long sales cycles. I don't think anybody's going to buy an apartment in like 2 minutes tomorrow with an agent. But I do think that software, that again, by definition, is an enabler of work inside a company, more AI tools and agents might significantly impact the decision-making process of these companies. So if I'm looking at this from a two-sided problem situation, the problem for these big companies is to be convinced that this is a tool or a platform or a service that is worth buying. The perception from the person making the sales enablement material, usually the company selling the product, the service, or whatever, is we want to make materials that are as easy to comprehend as possible. From the buyer side, I think because they have a lot of different tools and a lot of different things happening, more AI, more software, and so forth, they're going to have more AI-led processes to examine whether you're worth buying or not. And then from the seller side, we're going to have a lot easier, like with Moda, way to generate a lot of these uber personalized sales enablement stuff. Put together, these two situations make it so a lot of AI content will be consumed by a lot of AI operators of sorts, which means that the actual visual aspect of it all doesn't matter as much as it used to, which is an interesting thing. Like, you just got to make sure that the sales enablement material you make actually reaches people and not machines. And if it reaches machines, you do have to make sure that it is suitable for a machine to read and to understand. That is not a solved problem. So while I'm super excited about this, and still a lot of my customers want to get sales enablement materials and yada, 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 I want you to think about the next 3 years version of this and where sales enablement is going before completely investing in a process like this. You should invest in this process now because it will significantly reduce the amount of time you use for creating sales enablement materials. You should not build for 5 years ahead, because I think this whole thing is going to change from the ground. For listening, hit the subscribe button if you like what I'm saying. And yeah, thank you so much.